Today's video, we're going to talk about LSA versus PPC, what to start with and what makes the most money, okay? So LSA is actually what most people think is better than PPC, if you will. That said, I can tell you that is absolutely not the truth. PPC will make you more money than LSA, but it's a huge pain in the ass to do it right. And that's the main crux of the situation when you're trying to decide if you're going to do LSA or PPC. Now, that said, you should honestly be thinking about doing both, because if they both make money, why the hell wouldn't you be doing them both? Of course, if you aren't doing either yet, you have to pick one to start with. You should certainly, by the way, pick one, because I am a big believer in picking one thing and doing it right than picking multiple things and doing them all half-ass. As it comes to advertising, that's absolutely the case. If you're gonna pick one, LSA is typically gonna be the winner. Namely though, even though it takes a lot of time and effort to get approved for running your LSA ads, it's nothing compared to the pain in the ass that PPC is gonna be in your ass trying to set this up the correct way for your business as well, even though the overall return's higher long term. So, but there's some other considerations here that I'm going to go through. I want you to know before you make the decision for yourself. And frankly, depending on your business niche, it's going to vary as well, mainly based upon how competitive is your space that you're in. And if you're not in a very competitive space, then maybe you go with PPC. And I'm going to talk about that in today's video. But before I get into that content though, if you do not know who I am yet, start off with, I'm Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in their profitability, basically in excess of the management fees that we charge. We are the only agency out there who offers any kind of similar guarantees, which will tell you something about the quality of the information on this video. So with that said, now I've got the pros and cons of each one of these advertising mediums, LSA, PPC, for you, so I could go over what the pros and cons of each are for you to make your determination as to whether you're going to start out with or just in general decide to do and not do. So starting with the LSA side, the first thing I want to mention right off the bat here, and this is the main benefit most people know and think of when they're talking about LSA versus PPC, which is it's so easy a caveman can do it. You remember those old commercials on Geico, so easy a caveman could do it? Well, that's what LSA is like. Anybody who has a high school education could go ahead and set up an LSA account, because all you got to do is fill out the paperwork, right? For the most part. Now, there's more to it if you want to get the most out of it, certainly, but you really can't screw it up. It's like having an advertising campaign with training wheels on it, okay? So for that matter, if you really don't like to overcomplicate things, you just want to make some money, LSA might be your start out with and stick with. Secondly, with LSA, it will usually provide a profit right away. So in addition to it being easy upfront to get going, it'll usually be profitable right away. The cost per call, Google's figured out mathematically what people are willing to pay for a phone call before they drop off. And as long as you're delivering something that, you're getting as much value out of a client as the next guy, have the same closing rates, same presumed lifetime value of a customer, it should be profitable, because, if they price the cost per call too high, nobody would advertise. And then, so they basically floated it up as high as they can go. When you show up, they know that's profitable for you as well. So with that said, generally speaking, you click it on, the first week you should be profitable. Now, it will get more profitable when you do things right. Namely, you get your answering of the leads in order. Now, there's some new stuff that came out in regards to LSA, just to take a quick detour on what I was talking about here. So there's a firm that uses AI software to answer phone calls, specifically from LSA. And so when you get a phone call from LSA, because the biggest factor that determines how many calls you get from LSA, given that the biggest limiter thing that is most frustrating for users in regards to LSA is that they don't get enough calls, or they got calls and now they're getting less. You fix that out of the things that you can actually do to fix it, more than anything else, by having a quote-unquote higher answering rate. And most people say, well, I already answer all my calls. You don't answer every last phone call. Nobody does, at least if they're answering them manually, okay? Now, but they've got new AI software that'll answer the phone that, if you've watched my channel before, you know how much I rail against using AI in marketing and sales. It's pretty much 99% of the time. However, in this individual unique case where all you're doing is is you're running a carpet cleaning service and you just got to answer the phone. Most of the calls considered are basically, when can you send somebody out? What time can you have them come out? The call's not that complicated. AI can easily handle all the permutations and variations of how that call can go. And the AI will have literally the 100% answering rate. So when you're graded you against your competition, you're going to come out on the main metric that matters, number one. So Google's going to want to send as many calls as they can to you instead of them, given that they can show you 20% of the time, 50, 100, whatever percent of the time. And then for that matter, on top of that though, the message leads, this is where it gets really good. So the same thing in terms of the phone calls that get you more phone calls, that is the higher the answering rate, the better, the more calls you get. The message leads is the same way. When somebody fills out a message lead, by the way, the quicker you respond to a message lead, the more what message leads you get in the future. So just like with the phone calls, you can have a bot answer the message leads. And the same firm that I know is helping clients at their LSA agency set up bots to answer the phone calls, they were also using message leads and told me that the message leads, it goes through the roof. Mainly for the reason that once somebody fills out a message lead, it now recommends, would you like to send the same message lead to 3 other vendors here? Click yes if so. You click yes, you get in that recommended 3 almost every single time when you answer quicker than anybody else, which since a bot's answering on your behalf, you're going to answer within 30 seconds every time. And that's not something your other competitors are going to do. And then, so your message leads can over double just by using a bot to respond to the message lead. Not to say that eventually more people might catch on, but for the most part, I don't think that they will, because I know I'm getting a bit off in the weeds here, but I talk about all the time on this channel how you should be on your website, your form submissions. You should have a software like Call Drip is one that does it, that immediately kicks off a phone call to your sales department. So when somebody fills out the form, you're able to have the salesperson call the person who filled out the form within 60 seconds, because that'll typically double your contact rates with the lead. But nobody does it. It's been 20 years websites have come out and with forms, and nobody does this basically still. Like 1% of people do it. The big boys that spend a lot of money on ads do it. The small business owner, practically it's non-existent. So I don't know if people will actually catch on to this bot stuff. I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't think they are, because most people just want an easy life. They want an easy time in business. They don't want to complicate things too much. The person that actually gets down into the nitty gritty on making and figuring out what factors are involved and exploiting them, they're the ones making most of the money. So anyway, that is something you could do to get more leads, but the profit you get from the leads that you do get right away will be there. Then if you can get more calls, you get more profit. So furthermore, with LSA, it's not scalable, okay? At least when you ignore the fact of what I mentioned, because if you basically, don't use AI and, you start to answer the calls as quick as you can, it's really not this much more you can do. And even if you are using AI to answer the calls, still after that, it's not much you can do to get more calls. So, and at that point in time, what I usually get is a call from these people saying they want to run PPC ads because they're not getting enough. Or the bigger thing is they were getting a lot of calls and now they're not getting so much. So when you start up an LSA account, you get a bunch of calls and then it trickles out. And I don't still understand the motivation from Google's side, why they want to do this, why they want to tease new guys with a lot of calls. I just can't sort it out. But, that's very often what happens. Even if you have more reviews than them, and even if you answer almost 100% of the time, it just trickles out a lot of time. It has a lot less legs on it for, as I just mentioned, you may start out and build up your staff to handle the calls. And then if it trickles out, you're screwed. You don't want to be relying, the most common reason I see guys go out of business is because they rely any one traffic source when it equals more than 30% of the revenue, that traffic source takes a hit of some sort and they go out of business, because you don't want to be just relying on LSA, because that's the worst thing to rely on. Fraud, okay? So LSA has a lot of fraud with it now, because, anytime a new ad channel starts to get to be profitable, more well-known online, it attracts fraud. I don't care if you're talking even about running ads on ZocDoc, whether you're running ads on G2 software, where you're advertising a SaaS product. Even on those sites, there's click fraud, and they're clicking your ads to drive you out of business so they can have the ad space for themselves. LSA, what do? They take your phone number and then they call it a bunch of times. And because you can't answer every single call, you either stop getting calls or you answer every call and you pay for a bunch of bunk calls. And it's especially bad now because you can't dispute the leads. So No, if you're in a competitive market where there's legitimately millions of dollars a year on the line just from having that LSA spot, you could damn well bet someone sometime is going to come along and do this shit to you. Why do I know that? Well, I've been around the block. I talk to clients all day long. This is all I do. But the same thing happens over here technically, and I'm going to talk about that. And then finally, smaller jobs. So I didn't think about this myself originally or initially, but to give you draw a parallel here, I always have advocated to not run call-only ads when you run PPC ads, because when people call from the ad and they don't need to go to your website, they're not going to be as good a prospect. Who's going to make a big decision like building a brand new addition on their house and then just call some random phone number they see on Google? No, they're going to click through that damn ad and get to the damn website and check the website out and everything on the website before they pull the trigger. So you cannot run call-only ads in a space where it's a big decision. Now, if all that you're doing is just, my AC doesn't work, can you please come out? Maybe fine. Broken toilet, whatever. Not on anything that's significant. Well, LSA is the same thing, but not quite as bad, if you will. I'm not just going to call a guy off Google guaranteed for a home remodeling job when I don't know what your other home remodeling jobs look like, your portfolio, that kind of thing. So if you are doing it for a category where it's a bigger decision, or let's say it's a plumber, what you're going to end up getting is a lot of the calls that you get from LSA are just going to be small, piddly little jobs, like toilets clogged, I don't know if I have a problem with my sink, it's dripping, like littler shit. Versus what you really want, of course, is not that, a bigger job. Even though like in the plumbing space, that's not a great analogy, because you can have a clogged toilet that's a $20,000 sewer line repair, which that industry thrives on, by the way, which is an interesting thing, by the way, because a lot of guys that are doing local services don't think like that. Plumbing space, they get it. You should think about what kind of calls net bigger upsells and then go for those, because people will typically not value the calls for as much as what they're truly worth, if you will. Anyway, with that said, you'll typically get smaller jobs because people that want to buy something that's more significant will want to see your website itself first, okay? Now, on the other side of the aisle here, PPC or Google Ads, okay? Given that you can run both of these, I highly recommend you do run both of these at the same time. You get 2 spots on the top of Google instead of 1. For that matter, when a prospect sees you plastered on the top of Google 2 to 3 times, you got LSA, PPC, and then on the maps, your credibility is going to go through the roof. Oh, I saw that company. Oh, I saw them again. Oh, I saw them. It's a lock. Half the time they're going on price, half the time they're going on who's just the #1 company in the area, for the most part, at least on an initial call. And you can't really tell price before an initial call too much. It's who's the most trusted. It's going to be whoever they think is the biggest one. And you get that done through repetition more than anything. You could say you're 30 years in business, and that certainly helps a lot. But getting seen multiple times, that takes the cake. So on the PPC side, it's more scalable if you put in the effort, okay? It's not going to be scalable for you if you spend 5 minutes setting up your campaigns and then you're done. No. But if you do want to put the work in, it's infinitely scalable for the most part. Now, I don't want to say always and never, as they say, those are strong words you should never use. Infinitely scalable isn't exactly the case, because if we ran the campaigns hypothetically for the next 20 years, probably won't scale that long. But the more data you feed into your ad account, the more revisions that you make and the more testing you do, practically speaking, the more you're going to keep making, to the point where every year you should be making 30, 40, 50, 100% more profit from ads, Google ads, than you had year before, given that it's going to be more at the beginning. Year over year, it'll be like 100% gain, then 80%, then 60 on year 3, and then 40 on year 4, and then 30 kind of every year after that, if you put the work in. So with LSA, you're sitting on your hands, waiting for something to happen. PPC, you can do something about it. Problem is, though, most people don't want to do the work, and then they don't get anything at the end of the day. But PPC, you also get bigger jobs, because ultimately, again, the person that wants to spend more is going to want to check you out more on average. And your website, put the effort in, put the right website together with the right portfolio, the right video testimonials, the right, showing your average review score at all the different industry websites that are in your industry and on Google and Yelp, and how long you've been in business, and you're A+ PPP rated, all of this. Angie's you reviewed, industry certifications, you blow them away and you get the business, if you will. So you can get bigger jobs if you do all that, which is what you want to do. Furthermore, you have more ways to get Google to prefer you the more work you put in as well, not only just on that landing page, but on your ads itself. as well. For the most part, Google would prefer to send all the business to the top guy that just helps their users find what they want the easiest and gets the best experience out of it. To do this, they're going to benchmark you against all the competitors in your space, advertising for the same eyeballs, or same keywords, same audiences, that is, if you're running like display ads, something like that, though. And they'll check your click-through rate on your ad, the conversion rate on your landing page, and then also, do you get good reviews or not after the fact? If you do better than all your competition on those 3 levels, they're going to want to give you every last click they can, and all the quality ones, and make your ads huge, put you higher in the list so you get more clicks. All of it happens once they recognize that you're the best and the brightest in this space, okay? So with that said, really, whether Google prefers to run your ads consistently or not is really up to you. And of course, with LSA, it's also up to you because you can use AI like I mentioned before, but there's 100 different ways to make your ads more efficient than your competitors, PPC, and it's really up to you whether or not you get it or not. Because if you do all the stuff I talk about on this channel, by the way, you're gonna have the best ads in your space. It's not if. And I can say that confidently because I look at accounts all day long. I know what people are willing to do, what they're not willing to do. And I could talk until I'm blue in the face. Nobody is going to want to put the work in, like I talk about on this channel, to do this work themselves. And not many people want to hire somebody and pay a firm like ours to help them either. So nobody does it. And this is all stuff, all you got to know is whatever helps the user decide easier and get a better experience is going to mean more profits from Google Ads and more showing. It's really that simple. So, and I just give you all the information and point all those things out that will do that for your customer on this channel for free. So all you got to do is subscribe and just do the stuff I talk about on this channel, because we got to guarantee results for our clients. And if we can't get results, we don't get paid, we wouldn't be around. So just copy the stuff we do for clients at our firm, subscribe to this channel so you can learn it. Also check out my blog on my site while you're at it at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has step-by-step advice on how to do your competition with your ads, with screenshots, with everything there to do it. You of course can also, if you, by the way, have any questions about individual thing, for free, I answer questions in the comment section. If you ever leave me a question in the comment section, I get back to you within 24 hours. It's another route for you. But that matter though, there's no excuse to say to yourself, I don't know what to do to get Google to prefer to show me, because it's all here for free, period. And for that matter, if you don't, on the flip side, if you don't do a good job for their users and they know it after testing you out, you aren't going to get shown at all, no matter how much money you have. Or it's going to be so exorbitantly expensive per click that you can't make money doing it. One or the other, legitimately. So it's all up to you whether you're going to put the systems in place that work or not. It can take a long time to be profitable in competitive spaces with PPC. I mean, legitimately, what the average person thinks they're going to do is go, I'm going to enter the market on Google Ads. I'm going to run my ad, making money right away, just like LSA. The reality is much different, at least if you're in a competitive market, which if you're doing local service ads, you're in a competitive market, it's not going to work right away. It's going to take time running those ads at a loss after your expenses just to build up enough data in the account to make money. And the reason for that is because Google's going to have their preferred advertisers. They're going to test you out knowing that you're probably a loser, because most new guys coming in are losers, and that you're going to be in and out. You're going to be here today, gone tomorrow. They ain't going to take you seriously. They're going to charge you a shitload per click. They're going to give you the least quality clicks they can. When somebody searches for carpet cleaning company, if they see a person is not likely to turn into an actual real customer, they're going to have your ad show for that person. That's how it works. And ultimately, you're just not going to make money for a while. And it doesn't make any sense to do it, to run ads, that is, unless you're going to do what it takes to beat your competition in terms of click-through rate, conversion rate, so that eventually, once your ads do have a chance to run at a trickle, and that Google, will test you out, because they always are looking for the next best thing, that they see it's great, and then you make all that money you lost up front back times 100 on the back end. And it is worth, as long as you do the things to beat your competition and therefore bring value to the market that's not there. So for that matter, it's not going to make money in competitive markets. And so whereas LSA will often make money the first week, or your ad is live, if you will, or your account's live, it could usually take 90 days for Google Ads to work. That is, you'll get calls right away. They just won't be profitable calls after considering all of your Google ad expense, your guys, your salaries, all that. But sometimes if you're like in restoration services, it can easily take 6 to 9 months before it's profitable, because it's hyper cutthroat competitive. Then something else to mention about PPC is click fraud is there. Certainly, especially in any kind of local service market where the cost per click's over $5 a click, which is most of them. What happens is you got a private equity company that hires a hired gun, or you have a lead seller who tries to knock out all the competition so they can sell the leads back to them once they're gone. They'll come in, they'll use software to click click your ad, and they'll do it by switching their IP addresses each time, which will not get fixed with a software like ClickCease. And your ads are just not going to be profitable if you don't know anything about click fraud. Literally, it's just impossible to make money in that case if you get hit with click fraud, and there's nothing you can do to fix it until you get rid of the click fraud, which anybody can do. And I've got videos about click fraud you can watch on this channel. Search for them on my channel homepage in the search bar. But it's easily fixable with Google ads, in my opinion, at least for what I know, and because I'm experienced in this, versus if you have click fraud on LSA, you can switch the telephone number so that they have to like grab the telephone number again. But for the most part, your phone, if they really want to get you, all they got to do is just keep calling that number tied to that ad. And so once that happens to you, you're basically screwed. For that matter, by the way, with click fraud, the best bet if you are getting hit with click fraud is just to reach out to us on our firm and have me fix it for you. It's the quickest, easiest thing. And it's also a little bit tricky, even though I've got videos about that topic. It's still tricky still. It's not always so cut and dry, and I can get your ads working again. 99% of the time, someone's got an issue with click fraud, I can fix it, and then the ads will work. So reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com if you're interested in that, or any other PPC related issue, or if you just want to make more from your ads, we can guarantee you a result, raising your profit before paying fees. We also, I do coaching and consulting if you would like. I help people with one-off issues like that. I help, frankly, also agency owners with their stuff. If you have any questions, you run an agency. I also offer ad templates. If we've worked in your niche market before, we can literally just sell you the winning ads, landing pages that work for your market, and you just copy paste that into your ad account and get the same results we are in a different city or country that you're in, and not have to deal with figuring out how to make money, because we've done it. We could tell you the results you're going to get with it up front, whether you're electrical services company, plumbing company, restoration services, whatever it is. It's like having a business in a box, because you just install the template there, and then it works so well, you can literally just sub out the work and still make money. You've got e-commerce templates, by the way, in case you're looking to diversify your income, so on and so forth. The last thing on the list I wanted to mention here about PPC was it takes more skill to get it to work, certainly. LSA can be handled by a caveman. PPC, to have it done right in a hyper-competitive market, you got to have years of PPC experience, to be honest, to beat these other people. It's not just, you got to know what to do and then how to do it. And even though you watch my videos in a hyper-competitive market, it's just like somebody could tell you how to fix a air conditioning unit. If this is the first time you ever did it, how the hell are you ever going to do it better than somebody who's done it for 20 years already? It's impossible. So it takes more skill and work to make money. It actually, not only gonna have to put money into it, but it's gonna take a lot of time and effort to get it to work in terms of you learning how to do it, or you pay somebody else and then it costs you more money. So, but for the most part, it's just a lot harder to beat your competition because you're going up against experts. A lot of times they're gonna hire experts. So when you're trying to go up against their expert and you gotta beat them, it can be hard. For that matter, that's your difference between PPC and LSA. Again, I'm gonna run them both. I'm gonna probably just start out with my LSA if I were starting from scratch, and then do my PPC, mainly because I can use my money that I make here to run a campaign at a loss up here, knowing that it's not a problem for it to run at a loss for 3, 4, 5, 6 months to get it going, because it's just basically I'm playing with my winnings from this over here. If you want somebody to, basically I found a fantastic offer or deal for you here. If you want somebody to come in and just run all your ads for free and get you results for free, I can do that for you at your company. If you want to partner with my agency and myself, I'll come in and do that. I'll invest tens of thousands of dollars in ad spend up front to get your ads going. I will run the ads, but we want between 1 and 10% of your gross revenue increase moving forward forever after. So we'll make you a multi-millionaire with your ads, making your ads run better than your competitions in your market, but we're equity partners in the business by setting that up. So as opposed to hiring our agency or an agency like ours for PPC services where you leave any time, we make you all the money. You come with nothing in terms of money, but you pay on the back end a percentage of your sales moving forward. So if you're doing $500,000 a year now and we take you to 5 million, we'll want, like, let's say 4% of the extra 4.5 million. We've done this with several companies, by the way, of which are doing multi-millions a year in addition, because we know exactly what we're doing in terms of running ads. And if you got a great product or service to start with and we apply what we know to the advertising, you're going to crush it. It's not a matter if, it's just how much. If you're interested in that, you can let me know. We don't take on just any, obviously, company. You got to have probably great reviews, in this case for local service companies, experience in business, know that you have a legitimate better offer than your competition, and then maybe we'll do it. Given that we want to know, because advertising isn't going to fix everything in your business, certain. And you need nothing but the advertising. We'll of course, get you the best advertising out there. I also, by the way, started a Discord group, which you can find a link in my video description, where you can talk to like-minded people from this particular channel of people who are using these strategies I talk about in this channel. And there's a free PPC/advertising course in there that takes you through from start to finish how we build campaigns from scratch. And you can build a multi-million-dollar ad campaign for yourself starting from scratch there for free, just as a thank you for joining the Discord group. I release courses there on a regular basis. So if you want to check out, see a really valuable course there that I should be charging money for, check that out. With that said, I'm going to wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.